everybody, and welcome to CLC
Hi.
Live. Hello. Glad to be back, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment on the video. We would like your interaction. It's been a little quiet recently. We could use some more interaction, answer your questions, go off topic. Love a good off topic conversation. To get back on topic, though,
You absolutely do not.
I don't. I'm saying the royal we.
The royal?
To get like we as an organization, we as a group of 4 people instead of 5. Jen is not with us.
Oh, you're in and out, Anthony. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, I said Jen is not with us. She's
on vacation. You want to add?
Yeah,
she's on vacation.
Specify she's on vacation.
And she's coming back. She will be back next week. I forgot to add that last part.
Oh,
last week we spoke about how do you coach an unrealistic client. Today on Coach or Clients 101, we're talking about how to coach an indecisive client. Clients who don't make decisions in a decisive way. What does indecisive mean?
Overthinking.
Brooke is quiet. Can't hear her. Brooke?
I am quiet because I'm working on my technology right now because I'm blurry.
Yeah. Okay. Jerome, what do you think being indecisive is? Also quiet.
Oh, this is.
Sorry. That's good. I was muted. I was muted. I think being indecisive means someone who has, I don't know, not to get too obtuse about it, just someone who has trouble making decisions. That's what it is.
Your inability to make decisions, to add on to it in like an effective or quick manner. I feel like indecisive people could make a decision. Brooke's camera looks a lot better.
Yeah, it does.
But they drag their feet. They might procrastinate. They're kind of flip-flopping. I hate flip-flopping. How else would, they're annoying. I don't know. I don't like indecisive people.
What about undecided? How is that different?
I think that's like maybe like you just don't even care at that point. Just like I'm undecided. I don't have an opinion on that, which is fine. I think deciding to be undecided is also being decisive, as strange as that sounds.
I think we've talked about that before.
I think if you make a hard and fast, like, I'm not making the decision, this is not my area, I'm relinquishing responsibility, that's okay with me. That is a third option. But the flipping and the flopping and, okay, I'm going to do this. And then, no, wait, I changed my mind. We should do this instead. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I need help. Like, that's what I think of when I think of indecisiveness.
I definitely I agree with you. The flip-floppy is quite annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I just want to know. I want to know,
I need an answer.
Although sometimes I do want the option to flip-flop a little.
Yeah, and that's being flexible. But it's like flip-flopping without confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, in light of new data, in light of the things we found, we're going to go with this decision based off of this evidence. That's not what flip-flopping is. It's like, I don't know. It could go either way.
So in one of the articles I read, the indecisive person is a perfectionist, people pleaser, one who wanted to have all the information but kept wanting, and that's why I said overthinker. Whereas the undecided had gathered the information for the most part and were weighing things out.
Mm-hmm. And they may eventually make a decision. Maybe it's not.
Yes, they were on the verge of making it was an indecisive person can be undecided, but an undecided person is not indecisive, is what they said. Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. So for this conversation, Clients 101, the undecided client will have as a different future topic. Maybe never. We're talking about indecisive clients, though.
So I think I think that the reasons that our clients may be indecisive, there's several of them, right? There's what Lisa mentioned a few, people pleasing. They might be worrying about, keeping everybody happy, or, not wanting to hurt anybody, or not wanting to, well, that would be, I think, there's probably other people pleasing ones. What other thoughts, outside of people pleasing, one that comes to mind for me is like fear of failure. Like, I don't want to choose the wrong answer. I don't want to choose the answer that I'll fail at. I don't want to, that can lead to some indecisiveness. What other reasons do you think that our clients might be indecisive?
Well, one of the articles that I was reading said if they were raised, so this is going a little more than what we're talking about, if they were raised in a way that they were shamed, or if you will, punished for a wrong answer, versus being raised in a way that failure is learning and a path forward, that would create that indecisive behavior.
I think environment can play a role, kind of similar to what you're talking about, Lisa. I think that's more so experience, but environment can play a role, whereas you're in an uncomfortable, unused to environment, which means you don't want to embarrass yourself. You're just not comfortable with the people around you. These can be factors, I think, that can affect
that's kind of
too.
Shame, yeah.
I think one of the thoughts as you're sharing in this space is like they can be having pressure from outside sources telling them which way to go. And, there can be multiple places that are saying, no, this is the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And then, so they have all these options and it almost becomes paralysis by analysis. Or it could also be that maybe they're getting pressure to do something, but it doesn't feel right to them. So it's so they're just not deciding because they're being told to do one thing, but for some reason it is not resonating with who they are or what they want to do. So it's safe to not decide and not have to commit to something, because then they're not going to, do the thing that everybody's telling them to do that doesn't feel right to them. I think that can absolutely come up.
Yeah.
I think
Anthony?
also maybe not having a clear idea or vision or goal about what you actually want. Let's say if you're with a client who they want to feel happy, they want to have a better sense of well-being, they want to feel fulfilled. That's kind of, there's so many ways you could go about it, and one week you might end up talking about health goals, and the next week you might talk career goals or like relationship goals, and there's so many different avenues to try to work towards a really vague vision that you might be scattered and all over the place, rather than when you have a clear vision and you can clearly identify what a goal or a vision is that you want to work towards, then you can make decisive decisions towards that. So maybe like a lack of clarity would
So
be
living in the fog.
Yeah.
So I have a question. In the coaching space, does our client have to be decisive?
Yes.
I don't think they have to be decisive, but I think that's something that they're coming for, is to get the clarity so they can work through their indecisive to undecided to actually making a choice.
I want to add to that. I think they need to be decisive if they actually want to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve.
But it can be an experiment along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be, well, yeah, as long as they get to work towards their goal, they need to be decisive. We can't be decisive for them. We can't tell them what to do. We can't give them advice. We can't point the way for them. The client has.
We can't, right?
Yeah.
As a coach, we can't.
Coach, we can't. The client needs to be decisive, and by that I mean they need to make a decision about what they're going to do within some time frame, and
So
then
so we
start
have
working
to,
towards that.
are we saying we have to have a decided goal to be a client?
No, I would say not.
And if your goal is to figure out what your goals are, then that is legitimate coaching still. But
So
it's just you and the coach, though. The coach is not telling you what to do, so you have to, as a client, navigate those questions and maybe give definite answers and be responsive when maybe the coach is not so clear and is asking deeper and deeper questions.
is it safe to assume that a client will hire you for a reason?
Yes. Although the clarity of that reason, it might be really clear the reason why I'm hiring a coach and I know what I want versus, well, I saw your reviews and you made all these people happy and I want to feel happy. So let's just do coaching and then I'll be happy.
Is that something we see in coaching? Somebody coming through the door because they see other people happy and they want to be happy?
I mean, isn't that why we have testimonials in the first place as some sort of social proof?
We'll see. Lisa,
I think they see the pain points and identify with the pain points more than they necessarily identify with the pleasure points, if you will, of success, happy people. They are going to identify with the things that they feel like, I'm going to use this word, I don't know that it's all encompassing, but that they feel like they're suffering through and want to go through and not suffer from.
I think of experiences like, you feel like I'm beating a dead horse sometimes, bringing up Tony Robbins, but like that's kind of like the idea with those cults of personality, I'll say, or thought leaders, where people are attracted to them because there's some sort of vague feeling that people are not satisfied with their life, so they are attracted to these kind of people that hopefully going through an experience will make them feel better about themselves. I'm not exactly sure why. That's like the one end of the far end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum, I clearly know what I want to work on as a goal. I would like a coach to partner with me so that we can build towards this goal. And there's not really a whole lot of decisiveness that needs to happen. It's just the client wanting a thought partner to work towards a specific outcome is like the other end of that spectrum. And plenty of clients are in between.
The clients are wanting something.
Yeah.
Lisa, what were you saying?
I was going to argue with myself because I'm undecided. Ooh, Anthony. I mean, there probably are clients that are more attracted to the positive outcomes as well. But I think what attracts them first are the pain points. So when you brought up the other name, that I identify myself as that pain point, but I also want to identify myself as that resolution, I guess I would say.
I think like what I kind of think of, Lisa, is like what happens is they see something they want, right? They see, they're looking at maybe the success of others, the happiness of others, this person got what they wanted. This person looks like they have this figured out and I don't, and I want to know how to figure that out. I want to have that clarification. I want to have that, whatever that is in some regard. I think that's on a very superficial sort of level, right? There's a lot more that goes into it than that.
Sure.
I mean, and we often, as coaches, are helping people identify problems that they don't know that they have. It comes up along the way, and then it's you work through that, so it becomes a much more in-depth kind of goal thing. The one place that your client will probably be decided when they get to you is in looking for help, right? Looking for assistance, if they get as far as to you, right? As far as to booking a session with you. There might be a lot of indecisiveness that happens leading up to that session. So let's talk about that a little bit. I know we're talking about the indecisiveness and, you know, in the, but there's a lot of things that can happen with regard to indecisiveness that are keeping your clients from even booking the session with you. What do you think are, well, let's talk about how the indecisiveness can appear in that space.
So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, coaching is not the only solution to a problem and not the only way to achieve a goal. In like a business sense, the closest example I could think of is like a consultant.
Side note, I hate that euphemism.
What?
There's more than one way to. I don't want to skin any cats. I have no desire to skin a cat.
Not skinning a cat is also a way to do that. There's more than one way to kill a bird with 2 stones.
Oh, we don't do that either.
Okay, fine. I'll think of something else that doesn't involve animal slaughter.
There's more than one way to
change a tire. There you go.
Actually, there's really only one way to change a tire, and it's taking the tire off and putting a new one on.
It's true, but are you using an electric drill, or are we using?
There's more than one way to make an enchilada. There's more.
Anyways, what was I'm losing my train of thought. What were we just talking about?
We were talking about the options when it comes to coaching.
Yes. Yeah. So there's more than one way to reach a solution. In a business sense, as I was saying, it's like you could work with a consultant, somebody who's experienced in the field. You could get a mentor, somebody who's, you know, has more knowledge than you and is giving you knowledge and working with you, and you're building a relationship with them. If you're feeling, you know, that this is a personal issue and maybe a lot of your personal baggage and blocks are interfering with your life, you might get a therapist. If you want to work towards a professional or personal goal.
Okay. We get it. There are lots of options. Yes.
You get a coach. That's it. There's just so many different options to reach a goal. That's what I'm trying to get at. And coaching does something very specific, and it's not really understood by a lot of clients that coaching is a solution to even begin with. And if they are aware, go on.
So you're saying that there's an indecision because there's a lot of options. Like clients don't know what
and they don't exactly know why coaching is better and or different from some of the other professions that are a little bit, you know, has a little bit of overlap. It's kind of a lack of knowledge.
I think that's really actually very important what you've mentioned there, right? Because there, like you said, there's a lot of ways to. There's more than one way to make an enchilada, you guys. Okay.
Did you see Jeremy's? Jeremy put more than one way to skip a rock.
There we go. More than one way to skip. I don't know how to skip rocks, Jeremy.
Well, maybe you should find a rock skipping consultant. Then.
So we're thinking about this enchilada, and I want to make the perfect enchilada for Anthony, right? Whatever. So I happen to know that Anthony does not like green sauce, so I'm not going to make it with green sauce. You know. But if I want to make the perfect enchilada for Anthony, then there's going to be a much more specific way for that enchilada to be perfect for Anthony. So if we kind of use that analogy and we talk about coaching and what somebody is coming to you with a specific issue, right? A specific something they want, whatever we mentioned prior to this. They want something, they're not sure how to get it. They see that you have helped other people get it, and now they are coming to you. But there might be other ways for them to get the same assistance, right? But it may not be the same, right? If we're talking honestly, therapy is often not as much used for goal setting and more used for like personal internal past life, self-work.
Not past life.
Not past life,
Past
no.
work.
I mean,
But
I think the truth is that they have a lot of different modalities,
Mhm.
but we're very active in the modality of coaching. And I think that's the benefit of us coming to a coach, right? You're not going to go to a physical therapist for a massage.
Or I'm not going to go to a physical therapist if I want to get better at playing soccer.
I might go to a physical therapist for a massage if insurance is paying for it. The same. At that point,
yeah,
I might do that. But that's one of those things where it becomes important as a coach for us to somewhere out there in the realm of advertising, marketing, giving information to your clients, to explain to them why your option is the best option for what they need, why coaching is the perfect sized key for this lock, and that information is important, and addressing that there are a lot of other options out there, and what coaching is, what it isn't, is important, because it's going to help the client realize and make a decision if coaching is the best fit for what they need. We as coaches know there are times where coaching is absolutely not the best fit. When certain things come up, we have a whole training around when to refer out, and those are the moments when coaching is not the best fit for that client, and that happens. So I think it's very important to help with clients become more decisive, to include something like that somewhere along the line in your marketing and your advertising, etc. Right? That is critical. Hi, Sue. By the way, I don't think we said out loud. Hi, Sue. Hello. So something to consider for coaches who are building a website or building marketing, at some point explaining how that coaching will help your client differently or better in specific circumstances than other modalities might be very beneficial to you.
We also talk about the concept of like creating less friction for your clients, like make it as easy as possible to have them look at your website, evaluate you, and then make a decision where they're going to book a session with you and or pay for the session. Should be
that brings me up to another point.
Super simple.
I think another big friction point, or something that makes our clients really indecisive, is price point. I'm stopping there. You guys talk.
I got sidetracked with Sue's.
As the price increases, indecisiveness also increases.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, that is true. I think, a big price point can make a client very indecisive. They can go, a lot of questions come up. Like if it's a big, high price point, there's going to be a lot of things that will cause your client to be indecisive about booking with you, right? Lisa?
I'm thinking of preconceived notions, right? I shouldn't need anybody to help me make a decision or come to, those preconceived beliefs that one can have, can make one indecisive, let's get the right word, on whether or not to commit that way, and then having somebody privy to personal information.
Oh, okay. For sure. I'm circling back, and I want to circle back to both those things, Lisa, but before we leave the concept of pricing really quick, is the solution then just to make your offer cheap?
No.
No, but maybe make the offerings a little bit simpler. For example, there was I can't remember what context it was. Me and Jen were talking about this, about a coach who had all these complicated package options, and not even a single option of just having one session and purchasing one session individually.
I think having that one session, individual session, is so important. Like, it's so important.
Yeah, because then it's like I think the person we were mentioning had all these different price points at different lengths of time, from 3 months to 6 months to a year and stuff like that. And I don't want to commit to that much. Committing my time and my money is going to make me indecisive, and it's going to make me have analysis paralysis, and maybe go with somebody who's a little bit simpler. I can make an easier decision because I can just pay for the sessions as I go.
I have an example of what you guys are talking about. Something I picked up a long time ago, and I think we've all talked about it in a couple other sessions here. But there was an insurance company, was it insurance? I think it was a financial planning company. That's what it was. Who wanted to change their scope of practice in the sense of they wanted to have offerings that met everybody at every point of their life so that they could be investing in their future. And at some point they had come up with a god awful amount of packages. This was something like 26 packages or something silly. And what they noticed in that place of having so many options and so many choices, and that people became very indecisive on what would work for them. It's not even undecided, right? Undecided means I've got some things I've already researched. I'm already decided in a sense that I'm going to go a certain direction, but I haven't quite decided how. This was indecisive. What we're talking about tonight became so indecisive that nobody chose any packages, and their sales plummeted versus increased trying to reach everyone. So they have found, and kind of the argument that I have said is, think about your kids' pictures, right? When the kid goes to school, they get their pictures taken, they have the packages. There's usually 3 packages on that. The cheapest, the middle one, and the most expensive that covers everything. And usually people go with the middle package. So that middle package, you tend to try to make more, what's the word I'm looking for? Incentivized to others, to the people buying the package, so that 1, they're already going to buy the middle package. 2, they're not getting the cheapest or the most expensive, but they have an easier time. Oh, this is where I was going. They have an easier time making a decision based on what's in front of them because it's a limited selection.
There are easy ways in pricing psychology to swing them to the other packages too, which is funny, which is just like by playing with the price points and making them extreme. So like if I was going to buy 1 pen, 2 pens, or 3 pens, but the first pen was priced at $10. 2 pens was priced at $15, but 3 pens is priced at $16.
Yeah.
You're going to get a lot of people are going to go, well, I'm going to get the 16 because I get 3
I would never
pens.
buy a pen for $10.
Well,
Too expensive for, I don't think.
You know what I mean. Or if you want them to swing so that's going to swing them to the top level. But if you want them to grab the lowest level, then you price the lowest level at like 5, the middle at 15, and the high at 30. And that one they'll probably land in the middle. But you're just playing with the distances and price can affect where people buy. But having that lower price, and I'll answer your question, Jeremy, in just a second, because I was the one that put that it scares me. Option allows them to dip their toe in the water and see if it's going to help them, see if it's going to be beneficial. The reason I say don't give that hour away for free, Jeremy, is a few reasons. One, if we're out in the marketing world and we're actually paying for marketing, we're paying for advertising. And we always are in some way, with time, with things like that. You want to be marketing to people who are going to pay you. That's a big, very important thing. I've had lots of clients book me in marketing sessions who come to me and I'm running ads for a free discovery session. And I've had women come to me and say, and all I'm getting is creepy men who don't really want coaching and just want to like be on a call with me for, and they're very weirded out, right? The whole like makes their skin crawl. So now they've spent all this time and money at that point marketing to an audience that's never going to pay them. They're never going to pay them. They're doing this because it's free. So having a price point, even if it's a small or low price point, allows you to start to filter through a larger audience that might just be surfing through and wanting free stuff. And you're filtering sort of like, like you're panning for gold. You're shaking out the pieces that aren't ever going to pay you, so that you can keep the pieces that are going to be of value to you. And you know where to spend your time and energy. And that's beneficial not only to you as the coach, but also to algorithms, and to anything out there that is smart or AI and that is building audiences for you. Those audiences should be built around people who are going to pay you, because it can become very easy to build audiences around people who are never going to reach in their pockets and pay you. So having even a small price point for that introductory session, if it's a full hour session, I would say put a charge on it. You can do there is absolutely a space to do shorter calls, to do 15-minute calls, to do let's talk, you know what I mean? But I would always vet to some degree, making sure that those people are real leads and not people wasting your time, essentially. And there's a lot of ways to vet your leads. There really are. So, but just something to keep in mind. And that's why it scares me, Jeremy. It's because I don't want entire audiences built around people that are never going to buy your coaching. So sometimes building even a smaller price point option, like a giveaway, not a giveaway, but like a $5 pamphlet or something that's going to help somebody, that even somebody who's willing to pay you $5 is far more likely going to pay you for an hour, than somebody who is never going to even pay you for that $5. And that is all. I'm done. I've spoke a lot.
So yes, eventually the client has to make the decision to actually pay you for your time, and choose coaching as a way to reach whatever goal or fix whatever problem that they may have. So they've already at least demonstrated some modicum of decision making. What about? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I want to circle back to what Lisa brought up, because I feel like we sort of skated past those topics, and I think they are important. So one of the things that was mentioned was timeline, and actually I think Anthony, you brought this up, so I'm sorry. It's timeline. So that can also be scary and make somebody indecisive. 13 weeks commitment is a long commitment. Having to meet with you once a week for some clients for an hour can be hard for them to find that window of time. There are clients that might be able to say, I can find 30 minutes every 2 weeks. That is manageable to me. And there are some coaches that wouldn't build their coaching around that kind of structure or time structure. So just being aware that the time structures that you are placing out for your client, the length of time of your session, all of those things, how often you meet, might affect the client's ability to make a decision to book you. Is that right? Wrong thoughts? Yeah, and feels like a long time. It does.
Yeah. For some reason, I was just thinking about what are some creative ways I could get to work this out. And I was like, what if it was like a gym where you had a subscription service to me as a coach, and you could just come in anytime you want, get some coaching sessions done, but you got to pay once a month, every month on the dot, no matter how much coaching you do. That
like
might
a membership.
That might be better if it was a company that had a lot of coaches available, rather than yourself having to do that. Because if you got somebody who wants to coach a lot, they're taking a lot of your time. So there's creative ways to get around it depending on how you structure your services in your business. But yeah,
and Jerry, yes, there are lots of coaches that give away free sessions. There super are. I just always sort of want to cautionary tales in that space too. If you have a warm market of people that you already know are you know where to find those people that are real already, then it's easier to give that free session away. For somebody who's just starting out and has no clue, I think it's safe to sort of start with like a low price charge. But yes, Anthony, the membership thing, I think there is a way to do that. And I think that like there's strawberry.me and BetterHelp and all these services that are a little more geared to that, right? Like you're paying, it's sort of like a membership type thing, or you pay the membership and that membership gets you a low rate every time you book a session kind of thing that will work.
We get this coming up in on the calls sometimes to the school, where we get people who are a little indecisive when it comes to like getting their credential with the ICF. A lot of different schools out there, and they don't even know at that point if they want to go the whole route or not. And usually with that conversation is like, it doesn't need to be that complicated. Like, just start with coaching 101. Lowest price point, lowest time commitment, see if you like it, and you can build up progressively to getting credential. And
go ahead.
Bringing that to just general decision making and goal oriented, like thinking, your big goals don't have to be big goals. You can slowly work up to it. Like in a coaching session, you take one little step at a time, and breaking that down for clients might make them more decisive and make it easier for them to, go along with whatever goal that they have in mind, rather than thinking about the big goal and having to worry about every single step leading up to that big goal. It can get a little bit mind-boggling sometimes.
Starting small, and then absolutely, and I think that applies also to the pricing. That applies to the time commitment, right? Mm-hmm. Starting out with that, a lot of people can get on a call for 15 minutes that doesn't cost them much or doesn't cost them anything, a lot quicker, right? Than they're gonna get on the hour-long call that costs $150. So that's where having that smaller bite-sized option makes it a lot easier for someone to decide and pull that trigger. Yeah. Okay, going to Lisa's. She mentioned people might be nervous about sharing personal information. I think that's really interesting. And I think that's like, I think we can also say being vulnerable, kind of. Because sharing personal information is one, like, I feel like that's kind of sounds very kind of almost like technical or data breach to me, but truthfully, I think what we're saying is I'm gonna have to be vulnerable, learn about myself, and share parts of myself that I maybe don't say out loud to other people with another person. And that can be really scary and make somebody be indecisive because maybe they're not ready, or maybe, all of these things. I don't know if I'm ready is absolutely something you will hear from clients.
That willingness to be challenged is something that I think some people have to work their way towards. Not everybody is used to that in their regular day life. So that willingness to be challenged is a big one, I think, to get over.
Well, I mean, I think we've become such a society of going like to Google for everything, having somebody tell us everything, having that those answers that others have come up with at our fingertips, that deciding ourselves for ourselves. I mean, it takes a commitment to our own self-growth and progression towards what we want. It's a responsibility that a lot of the times we didn't know we needed.
See, I do make a difference, you guys.
I just saw that coming.
Well, and it's true. I think having all of that information, and then also feeling like I should be able to do this myself. I should be able to figure it out on my own. I shouldn't need the help of others. I shouldn't have to pay for somebody to help me. I shouldn't have to all of these things, right? And this is where
naturally,
that's the way I think.
This is where it becomes hard for a coach to sort of explain their value, right? Like I'm explaining my value to you. it's a value for you to work with me. At the end of this, you will, insert all of these things, but a lot of times those are non-tangibles, right? It's very simple. When I have a tangible, I'm hungry, I go to McDonald's, I get chicken nuggets and French fries, and I'm no longer hungry. It's very tangible, right? Boom, boom, boom. But when we're working in coaching spaces, there's a lot of intangible, this feeling of intangible, and it becomes hard for us to place a value on intangible items, on items that are more, personal and internal. And having to explain that to a client can be difficult and can absolutely make a client very indecisive, and ask themselves, I should be able to do this myself, right? And I think we finally get the clients that come in the doors because they've been saying, I should be able to do this myself for a very long time, and just keep hitting walls after walls, and they just can't figure out.
I would probably counter with that, be like, well, you are doing it yourself. I'm not helping you.
That's
I'm coaching you, but like, you're doing it. I'm not doing it for you. So you are doing it yourself.
And sometimes people just aren't emotionally ready. Like, if they're not deciding and pulling the trigger, it might be that they're not emotionally ready for the change. There might be 1,000 other things happening right there in that moment that they are just not capable of working on themselves yet. And so that's where we have to be patient as coaches. And like, that's where it becomes important to just sort of, to have an email list, to be consistent in whatever spaces you are advertising, so that's what we call really long funnel. So that those long funnel clients, when that time finally comes, when the stars finally align, they know where to find you and book you, and they don't get distracted by 50 other services that might help them, like Anthony mentioned earlier, and they go directly to you. So maintaining that connection through like helpful information is very important, and people often get frustrated without the immediate results. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes it takes years. In SEO, it takes one of the things we say is, you don't expect to see the returns for a year, and it sucks. It's so far down the line, but that's just how it works.
To give an example of how long this funnel could be, sometimes I listen to a podcast called Weird Studies. They're an awesome podcast. I really like them. I've listened to them for years. And I've gotten to the point where I'm annoyed that they don't come out with new episodes as often as I'd like. So after about 5 years of listening to them, I finally got on their Patreon and started donating to their Patreon on a monthly basis, like, I don't know, $5 a month or something like that, so that I could get access to the listener to your subscription episode, so I have more things to look at. It took me that long to convert from somebody who was free and basically just, maybe giving advertising like stuff to them by listening to their content and listening to the Spotify advertisements, to finally actually opening my wallet and paying money. That's how long it can take sometimes. There you go, Weird Study. There's your free plug.
I mean, like, if we relate it to like gardening, I'm not a gardener. I'm terrible at gardening. I buy fake flowers. They come very quickly. But I was shocked. There was like a time I was thinking about growing strawberries, and I was like, it takes 3 years for these things to fruit. Avocado takes like 5 years for it to fruit. And it blows my mind that people take the time, they plant the seeds, they take care of these plants for 3 years, 5 years, these huge time spans until they see that payoff. And you have to think of what you're doing in marketing similarly. It's not overnight. It takes a long time to build up that kind of stuff, and we have to be patient. It can be so hard when you're just starting out too. Circling back to, well, I guess we mentioned all three of those. Okay, good. Fantastic. So I think we've covered quite a bit with why our clients might be indecisive when it comes to getting into the coaching chair with you. But I do think it also comes up a lot once that client is in the chair with you, sitting across from you. I definitely, more times than I can think of, had clients say, I don't know which goal I want to work on. I have like 3 things. Mm-hmm. How do we handle that situation as a coach?
Which one do you want to do first? Or just tell me about one of them.
Which one's most important to you in this moment?
But then I'm at my, they're all equally important. I have no clue where to start.
Okay, just tell me about one of them. Tell me about all three because you can't talk with three different voices at the same time. So you have to tell me in some order. Tell me about those three things.
Lisa's gonna explode.
Put them in a hat. Pull it out. Pull it out of a hat.
That could work too. Flip a coin. Flip a 3-sided coin. If it was two things,
we don't have 3-sided coin. Oh, what one? Yeah, okay.
Roll a 3-sided dice. If you either have a D20 worth of goals, a D10 or D8 or D12 or I only have those kind of dice.
A lot of times they'll give you like a brief overview. You know, I want this one, I want this one, I want that one, and I will just sort of lay out those three, and I repeat it back to them and say, okay, which one is sticking out to you? How do you feel about this one? How do you know? And it starts to sort of come up because they somewhere in there they know what they want to work on. I think
it might not be the most important or the most pressing.
Yes, I would caution asking questions like, "What is the most pressing?" or "What is the most important?" I think it's better to ask, tell me more, and then how do you feel, or how are you feeling about moving in one direction or the other?
And sometimes I'll, just write on a whiteboard or something I can have as a visual for them, and just write things down. And then one of the questions can be, when you're looking at this, what's coming up for you right now?
It's also might be a great place where scaling comes into play. I have moments where I will put a little emotional pressure on people, but I do that with the intention of allowing them to decide at the end of it. So it's where you kind of put the thumb on them. Okay, fine. I'm forcing you to make this decision right now. Pick for you, essentially, which we don't actually do. And then pretend I'm picking for you. Like I would say, okay, pretend between red and blue, pretend I'm picking for you. I pick red. You have to live with red. How do you feel about that? And they will often have a very visceral reaction once you have made the decision for them. And then we don't say, okay, well, clearly you want the other one. We say, okay, how do you feel about that? They'll tell you. And then we go, okay, how does this help you decide how you might want to move forward? And that kind of thing will I put the word might in there. Lisa would be, or not Lisa, Misha would be mad at me because I'm not being decisive myself. I have problems with being decisive in PCC coaching because I put in words like might or that are passive words because I'm being non-committal for the client when I need to be committal. And that's something I need to work on. That's like the people pleaser in me, where I put in these softening words because I don't want anybody to feel forced, which is so funny. I just noticed that. Anyways, but in that space, we're not going to choose for them. And Sue, I understand the inclination to say what is most pressing, but I think we have to be careful using words that are adjectives. The client has to introduce the adjective. So maybe even asking what is important about these goals, or what is most important about these goals, or something along those lines, so that then they can tell you if pressing is what is the most important thing right now, if it's a time-bound situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's figuring out, it's that whatever diagram we've used before. It's like what's urgent,
critical and important versus
what can be delegated versus what's
Eisenhower. It's the Eisenhower.
Good old Eisenhower.
He was apparently a very decisive human being.
He had a matrix named after him.
He had a matrix,
The thing he's probably most well known for is that matrix.
We are coming towards the end of our time. We've done, I feel like we did talk about being indecisive as people a while back, but I feel like this has been a different conversation, which I think is lovely. Before we go, is there any other space that we might find that our client is indecisive in the coaching space, specifically in the coaching space?
I think it's the commitment to your decisions. And maybe, okay, I've just that's outside the coaching space. That's in between sessions. I'm going to take a step back and focus on just in the coaching session where they're indecisive.
I've had clients that I just had something pop in my head that answering my own question. So this will be my final answer.
Go for it.
I've definitely had clients who have anxiety about deciding. Like when I will press them into, okay, how do you feel? How confident do you feel about accomplishing your goal? And I say scale of 1 to 10, and they will give me like a 6. And I will ask them into that. So tell me about that, how we might get it closer to the 10, and they'll just say to me, it makes me anxious to commit further than that. It makes me anxious to put that kind of pressure on myself because I failed in the past, and if I say it's a 10 and I fail, I'm going to feel worse. So I have to, and that's, I think, is not them being indecisive. That is them giving themselves a little grace, I think. Because the literal neurodivergent brain in me is like, want to get them to a 10, got to get them to a 10. But I've learned that no, isn't the case. Sometimes that is just a sign of them allowing themselves a little grace in this. And sometimes we as clients might say, when are you going to get this done? What's the timeline? And they might say tonight at about 4 p.m. And I would always ask into that short timeline when they're being overly decisive, right? They're like, it's going to happen. How confident do you feel about that? How confident do you feel about that 4 p.m. deadline? And just give them that beat to think, because in that moment they can be really confident, and it is an opportunity maybe for them to allow for a little bit more grace and flexibility. Because being super decisive to me is being very rigid. And I think there is a place for being very rigid, but I also think we have to allow for being human. And so I think that while we as coaches are working towards very specific goals and in the frame of timelines and all of these things, we still have to realize people are human and support our clients in allowing themselves some grace and forgiveness, maybe when the decisions they make don't go as planned, when being decisive feels uncomfortable in any of those kind of spaces. So,
and maybe then even we're not asking the client then, okay, what does it take to get you to a 10? Maybe if you're a 6, what gets you to a 7?
Or even a half a point.
6.5.
Yeah.
6.1. 6.01. 6.001.
Okay.
Or how do you feel about being at 6? How do you feel about it being at 6?
Yeah.
And I've been shocked when I've had clients tell me so. No, that feels really good.
That's fine. Yeah.
Because their scale works totally different than my scale. My scale tends to be ridiculously high. It's just silly. Like I have two teachers who ask me, how are you feeling? And everybody gives like a 6 or a 7. I'm always like 8, But that's just because I tend to,
You're using a linear scale. They're using a logarithmic. I'm stumbling over my words.
You're speaking Barcelona.
Yeah, but we're kind of at the time. I feel like we could talk more about being decisive and indecisive clients, but I think we've covered a good amount of stuff. We had a lot of interaction as well with Jeremy and Sue. Thank you guys as well. Final thoughts?
You can tell I am a what is it? Why can't I think of it right now? Learning style modality. Mm-hmm. The number one. I can't remember, you guys. Audio digital. There we go.
Yes, there we go.
Audio digital. Jerome, final thoughts?
Just to make it brief, in general, I would say if you're dealing with indecisiveness, get around somebody, whether it's somebody that you trust, a friend, family member, or even a coach. I think one of the best ways to get out of indecisive thinking is to get your thoughts, put them on the proverbial table, or actually put it on the table. I like to write things down. I put my task for the day. I like to write those down. So when they come up, I can kind of just go along without all that clutter being, stuck in my head and trying to decipher where to go next. It's already here on a paper for me to go ahead and take a look at. Usually what I'll do is just go straight down that list unless it's like wash clothes or something like that, because no one likes to do that. But it's nice to have things kind of lined up, and it feels really good to be able to just cross some of those things off as you go along. That helps me out a lot.
Lisa, final thoughts?
So once I've covered my indecisive behavior, gathered thoughts, gathered information, do all the perfectionism kinds of behaviors, moving towards undecided. Sometimes I will just, as I call it, the blind leap of faith, is I will just leap towards something and start the doing. The doing piece is going to help me understand better if the leap is the right direction. The honest to goodness is every time I've made a leap, it's not been a wrong choice. It might be the start of the other choice, but it's never been a wrong choice. It's in that doing. Yeah.
My final thoughts, maybe being decisive is a skill that we can learn, and we can do it by being really decisive for really small, insignificant things and work our way up to bigger and bigger things so that we can be more comfortable in being decisive. And it's more of an automatic reaction rather than something we constantly have to think about over and over again. But that's my final thought. Thank you guys for coming to the live. We will see you next week on some other Client 101 client type. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and make the decision. Take our classes, Coaching 101 and 102. Don't even think about it. Just sign up. Just do it now. Be decisive. All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.